All right. Matt Justice says infrared sauna is better than traditional. Nothing like knowing you're making a video for our sauna and probably going to get crucified or nailed to the cross again. But Sam from our sauna came in my Facebook group today. And I think it's an opportunity to extend the conversation and make heat therapy a topic that actually stays true to form to helping people rather than being dogmatic if you're on the left or the right. You know, some people say that you can only use traditional. I know I've posted about infrared saunas before, maybe once. And it was basically like the response that I got was, well, if you can't throw water on the rocks and get some lolly, then you're wasting your time. And I think people see that and they translate that to, you know, if I can't have that, if I can't burn wood, if I can't get infrared from, a steel stove, or if I can't run 240 and have a ventilation system for a dry electric traditional, then I should do nothing at all. And so I'm of the opinion that, really, I just think that that's wrong. I myself have gotten great benefit from infrared, the ease of installation, the ease of being able to use it. That said, if you want to use traditional sauna, use traditional sauna. It's going back to the roots of heat therapy. Where did sweat lodges and all these other types of things even come from? Where did this premise start from? And Sam brought up some great points in the Facebook group. His initial question was, can someone explain why people try to use these cheap Chinese boxes that are poorly made? I'm paraphrasing. I don't know exactly what it was that he said. But, why don't you throw some water on the rocks or enjoy a hot session or do this or do that? And I think it's a great topic of discussion because for some people, it's just not possible, right? And so to think that if you can't have, a wood burner, or if you can't run 240 for dry electric, or if you can't put in a ventilation system for your master bath addition or your remodel to take care of all that lolly, because if you're in a place like me in Florida, well, I bounce around the country, right? So sometimes I make these videos and I'm in Maine, and different environment, I think, calls for different protocols. We have people there trying to use a standard baseline infrared sauna in -10 degree weather, and it's just not going to work, right? It's going to take forever to heat up. It's going to have a really difficult time to maintain temperature because it's not double insulated. You need triple pane glass. If you were doing a modern build there, you wouldn't construct a structure in a fashion where you'd be working against yourself the entire time. And that's what's happening in some of these cases. And so even doing a drafty shed style wood burner, can be problematic in the right location or under the right set of circumstances. And the same thing could be said about infrared. The same thing could be said about everything. But one of the things that I mentioned to Sam, and I think this is a great topic for discussion, I don't see a lot of people talking about it, other than the folks that are committed to proper sauna design, right? Ventilation, top bench, bench above the heater, feet above the heater type stuff, traditional finish. We'll get into another thing that Sam said too that was, I think, is groundbreaking, that's left out of a lot of the research, and that's the cultural, social benefit of sauna. If you look at where it comes from, people weren't doing it by themselves. They weren't like this. They weren't a guy in a hot box, talking to a camera alone. And so when people say, oh, you shouldn't drink or you should drink, these guys were drinking vodka, pounding it back, wine, whatever kind of liquor you like, but they're also carrying on, having a great time, connecting. It's a social aspect. Like, instead of going to the bar, what if you went to the sauna, right? And so a lot of people aren't calculating or taking into account the physiological or psychological or the myriad of benefits that happen when we feel connected, when we have this, we come from tribe, right? And I'm getting off track here because I really wanted to focus on just the sauna stuff, but this is so monumental. I'm glad that Sam, mentioned this because it's something that I've thought for a while. You look at these PubMed studies and it's like, oh yeah, this temperature with this break for this amount of duration. It's like, well, there's a lot of other variables in people's lives, right? Where is the premise that hot baths or steam rooms or, all this stuff don't also have merit or benefit? Why did the Japanese come up with Wei-on infrared therapy for cardiovascular treatments? Go look at the stuff. Like, in my mind, this all relates to heat therapy. So anything that we can do to get more heat therapy in more households, everywhere in the world. I think there's a systemic improvement in someone's body. So a lot of people are saying, oh, use an infrared sauna because it penetrates deeper and you have a better detoxing sweat and this, right? You could say that about anything. And while in some cases for some person that's health challenged, maybe that is the best choice for them. On the other hand, just implementing heat therapy 3 to 4 times a week, and even things are coming from Dr. Rhonda Patrick now that says, oh, wait a minute. Who said that you can't make heat shock proteins in an infrared sauna? I mean, I don't know who created the narrative where people think that heat shock proteins are coming from the equipment. It's creating an environment where the response to a set of stimuli, i.e. your body, is creating or having the reaction that creates the heat shock proteins, okay? That's no piece of equipment is directly forcing your body to do that. It's creating the terrain where that's the response, okay? And so when we get into these dogmatic views, this stuff comes up a lot. But what about, I'm getting off track again, what if the social benefit, the connection-based benefit, the mental or psychological benefit of having, connection with your people, where you do group sauna sessions and you do, whatever background you want to pull from. Some people use the Finnish. Some people use, the Indian stuff from some of the sweat lodges. Some people say, oh, that's not the first version of sauna. And some people use the light bulb thing. In fact, heat lamps are a very good way to add heat to any sauna. I don't know if you've seen any of my other videos, but I'm not so dogmatic to where I don't try stuff, right? I built a little stand that takes a traditional sauna heater with a 10 or 12 gauge 15-foot wire, and you can basically put it in any sauna you want, infrared, traditional. You can double the heat of the sauna, and it's modular, it's mobile. And so if you're a person that has, likes the benefits of infrared, but also wants the high heat of traditional, there's tons of ways that you can make the sauna hotter. No one is saying, hey, don't do this if you like it. I don't think that it's necessary for a lot of people. But if it's something that you want, by all means, there's plenty of ways to do it. I have a DIY sauna course that we sell for like $10 or $15 that shows anybody how to make a sauna, DIY sauna, for a couple bucks, $200 actually. And a lot of people think that it's limited to making it infrared. If you want to add heat to that thing or make it 200 degrees, it's no big deal. It doesn't have much R value. It's not insulated. But that's why the people that post these things and say, oh, if you're doing a DIY heat lamp sauna, you're wasting your time because it's not going to get to X temp. Well, that's not true. You can make that thing as hot as you want. I would argue that you could actually make it heat up faster than a traditional sauna or any infrared sauna that's in a production roll. And the way that you would do that is you would use foil-lined bubble wrap as an insulator before your wood encasement or before your wall assembly. And so you get an R8 insulation value from just that alone, plus you're going to reflect the visible light and the heat. And so with 2 layers of that, and then your wooden wall, if that's not enough for you, which is going to be instant on heat, there is no preheat time, all right? If that's not enough for you, no one says that you can't put a traditional sauna heater in the corner. No one says that you can't add a regular heater or an infrared heater, or I'm not using infrared in terms of infrared sauna and saying use an infrared heater. I'm thinking of things that are readily available to people, okay? And so before we get off on a huge tangent of infrared this or infrared that, let's just talk about this, because Sam brought up quality control. Why would you want to use cheap Chinese boxes? Guys, I have questions for you because I don't see anyone talking about this. If you buy a cheap barrel sauna from Costco, why does it leak through the tongue and groove in less than 2 years when it's exposed to the elements, especially up north? It's the freezing and the colding and the moisture content. You have lolly and superheated temperatures inside, and then it's 20 degrees outside. What do you think is going to happen to the wood? What do you think is going to happen to the expansion and the contraction? What do you think is going to happen when you're buying a cheap, poorly made sauna that has no quality control, that doesn't have a shingle brow, so moisture doesn't get it down into the tongue and groove in the first place and can't freeze, expand, and contract? It's the same thing with the Wayfair supposedly outdoor saunas, the really indoor saunas where they put a Lexan roof on them and call them good. They're not even insulated. So people are trying to use these things, and they seems like it works fine at first, but 2 years from now they're replacing it, or they're building a supplemental roof structure over the top of it. No one's talking about this. So the same could be said for both infrared and traditional. I mean, if you buy a cheap Chinese piece of junk from anywhere with no quality control, no company that has, a decent reputation, decent warranty. I mean, the same could be said for anything. This is a major issue. The import-export thing has, gotten way out of control. Part of the problem with that is that it costs, over $1 million to tool up for a warehouse, CNC machines, and some other stuff in order to have pre-production runs of a USA-made product. If somebody knows, a way around that, I'd love to hear about it. I've asked many times why certain companies don't produce in the States or bring their jobs back here or bring manufacturing back here. And a lot of it's the tool up time. And this is a constant battle. Can't keep the camera gear going. A lot of times in the Facebook group, I'm like, newsflash, if infrared sauna is not hot enough, right? Then why doesn't camera gear run? Same thing happens in a traditional sauna. You struggle to keep all the stuff, working because it's too hot. And if it didn't work, that wouldn't be happening. Newsflash, the same thing that's happening to the camera equipment is happening to the body. Maybe it's not the same degree that everyone's looking for. Maybe you like the wood burning experience. I definitely think that if you like that, that's what you should do. I mean, no question about it. But what I'd like to open up the discussion for is, what should people do that live in Manhattan? I didn't always have a residence. I had a condo or an apartment for a long, long time. What are people supposed to do that are never going to be able to burn wood if you have an apartment in Manhattan? Or if you live in downtown Orlando in a high rise and you can't tear the walls apart to change your electrical situation. You've got a 10 or 15 amp 120 volt circuit and there's no option for ventilation. What are you supposed to do? Carry a 5-gallon bucket of water into the apartment? What happens if it tips over? Is it going to leak into the unit down below? I mean, obviously I'm dramatizing something that could very easily be taken care of with or handled with care, right? At the same time, the install factor is a huge issue with that, right? You can come in and set up one of these and 20 minutes later, have heat therapy. We're not running wires. We're not setting up ventilation. We're not doing water buckets. We're not doing all that. And people will say, oh yeah, but you're not getting the benefits of the lolly, or oh, it's not hot enough, or oh, you're not up high enough, or oh, this, or oh, that. Yeah, but if these folks don't do this, they're going to do nothing. Okay. And that's the main part that I disagree with. I'm all for saying that, Matt Justice is whatever the other things say, a scammer, or is wrong about traditional saunas, or hasn't experienced this, or, dogmatic about that. I share the same views in the opposing way, right? Because I've been in situations where this was the only choice that I had. And there's also no context about my health history. I mean, I've got the third nipple to prove it, you guys. I don't know if you realize there's a line that goes up into the neck, down into the heart. I'm a leukemia survivor. I don't talk about that a ton. It's kind of like a personal thing. But if you understood where I came from, or why maybe I'm a little OCD about certain health topics, or not wanting to do certain stuff to put my body in jeopardy a second time, when you go through something like that, it definitely changes you. And in some ways, it doesn't change you for the better. In other ways, it's the best thing that ever happened to you. But you never forget what that experience is like and never want to go through something like that again. And obviously want to help other people avoid things like that also. You have experiences that you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. And, they stay with you, reshape who you are, and change your viewpoints. And so instead of me having a dogmatic viewpoint, like you should only use infrared or you should only use traditional, I'm of the belief that that's why I have the DIY thing since COVID lockdown. Do you know that I was stuck in an Airbnb or stuck in Maine and I couldn't fly home because they kept canceling my flights, and I didn't have sauna therapy and I was starting to not feel as good, right? I don't know, just brain function, overall, performance of my body seemed to be downregulated without sauna for a few months, right? And I wanted it back. And I'm like, okay, everyone else is in this position. How can I solve this for myself, but also help other people solve this too, right? It's not a thing to make money with. Yeah, we charge for it, but the software to host the stupid course is $150 a month, plus the other expenses that go with it. So, I mean, to say that we make money on it is like a far stretch. It's $10 or $15. The people spend $100, $200, $300, outfitting themselves with some type of grow tent, or they build a DIY wooden enclosure that's insulated or something like that, and either put traditional sauna heater. I give up. Can't keep this thing on. Plus, it's time for me to shower. It's Memorial Day. Want to go meet friends and do something cool, just like we talked about the social, aspect of sauna. I'm not doing it with sauna, but we should be doing it in other ways in our lives. So the main thing is just want to give a shout out to Sam. I appreciate the being open to conversation and talking about this. And I try myself, actually, if you want to see first iteration of such a thing, there you go. I try myself to not be dogmatic, to be open-minded. That's what, if you see my other videos where it's me putting traditional sauna heater in infrared saunas to see if we can get the temperature to 200 degrees, or to see if we add heat lamp fixtures to the ceiling to add an extra 600-700 watts of heat to the thing, or basically make it instant on for people that are in cold environments, basements, unheated garages, things like that. It's like, how can we make this stuff work, better? And I think the conversation, in my mind, really should be, what are the benefits of heat therapy in general? Even Dr. Rhonda Patrick is talking about how, there are benefits to infrared. You just might have to stay in a little bit longer. I think the research has been cherry picked up until this point. I myself and hundreds or thousands of other people have been getting great results from infrared for years now. And it's easy to install, simple to set up. Yeah, I mean, some of the construction and some of the quality control of a lot of the units isn't that great, but you could say the same thing about traditional stuff that's sold at big box stores. But what do you guys think? I mean, let me know in the comments. What should we do about this conversation? What should we do about the left and the right? What should we do about, how can we join together and say, all right, we've got this group of people that believes you need lolly and 180 degrees or 90 Celsius to achieve X. And, I love that they pull in the social benefit, because no one from the infrared crowd is talking about that. So kudos to the traditional sauna crowd, because I have a gut feeling that if there was a way to quantify and measure it, you could argue that the social implications or impact of having a community-based sauna culture or habitual ritual, right? I like those set of words, because that's really what it is, and allows this connection where everyone's doing it together. And I have a hunch that the health benefits and the physiological benefits, you come out of stuff like that more grounded, offsets the effects of all these studies that say you shouldn't drink alcohol and get dehydrated. I mean, how long have cultures been doing this, right? How much fun have they had? How much stress relief has that provided? How much more have they connected with their family and friends in their community by doing such a thing? How cool would it be if we had residential neighborhood saunas where everyone at like 6-7 o'clock at night after the workday gets together, brings a snack or a beverage, or makes kombucha, or it could be anything, dude. It could be like an electrolyte drink. I don't know. But just like gets together and shoots the shit and is like, hey, this is going on in the community, or hey, here's what happened, or hey, we just make jokes and poke fun and carry on. And, it's like guys in the gym or gals that, you get the idea, right? Like, how much different would our lives be from something like that, instead of arguing about, oh, you got to have infrared, or oh, traditional this, or oh, right? Just incorporate heat therapy into your life, man. Just be sweating. Experience the stress of it, experience the joy of it. That's my take. What's your take? I want to hear from you. Let me know what you think in the comments. And oh yeah, I'm ready for the roasting that's coming from our sauna. Thanks, Sam.